Hi, folks. Welcome. This is John Paul here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about yoga therapy. And for those of you who are new to it, you'll get a sense for kind of what we look at or what we work with as yoga therapists. Of course, yoga is familiar to a lot of you these days. It's estimated there's 40 million yoga practitioners in the US. Of course, there's so many kinds and so many different types of teachers with different types of experience. We want to be clear about the type of yoga that you're doing when you do yoga therapy. Um, Most people understand yoga as its most visible form, that of asanas. You see some people here behind me doing asanas or postures. People often do breath work and meditation as well, but there's so much more beyond that. Many instructors aren't teaching that in open yoga classes at a studio, for instance, or at your gym. But important other pieces to yoga are the philosophy and the mindset, yogic relaxation, and all kinds of things that we'll go into a little bit when we talk about the principles of yoga therapy. So there's a few things that I might mention to you about yoga therapy and the principles of yoga therapy. And that is, there are different approaches. And so this one is based on Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani, who's a very respected yoga therapist leader based out of India. And he has a video that you should check out with more information about this from the first hand. But I wanted to share this with you because I think they're important for you to understand if you were to be working with me as your yoga therapist as well. So the first one is awareness. This is basically what we think of when we think of meditation and when we're practicing yoga in a mindful way, yoga postures in a mindful way. We do this with awareness of not just the body and the mind, but what is happening on so many levels. For instance, what's happening emotionally, whether there's some fear coming up or blocked or held emotions is an important part of our awareness practice as well. Um, so this is partly what distinguishes yoga from regular exercise, right? And we're looking at ourselves in many different ways. Diet is another important part of yoga therapy. I'm not a registered dietitian, but we can still speak to diet as in terms of how this impacts our awareness and what we do with our senses is a really important part of our experience in life. So sometimes we get caught up in eating things that maybe not the best for us or taking in experiences that may not be the best for us. But yoga helps us look at our choices mindfully and ethically so that we can sustain ourselves in the best way possible. Relaxation is another huge part. I know a lot of you know that in terms of yoga, it can be relaxing. But here's another reason why or modern disease is categorized as chronic diseases in many cases. And so much so that 7 out of 10 deaths are from a chronic disease on a global level. This is because of our stress-laden lifestyle. So it's important to directly look at conscious relaxation. And we talk about relaxation not necessarily as just simply not working and lying around watch TV, but rather how to do that on a very deep level systematically with our physiology. So this is tied into the next thing, which is breath. Awareness of our breath in a slow, steady, and conscious breathing pattern has a really important, profound results in changing our physiological system. So this is recognized in science very clearly as well as in the yogic traditions. So there's a lot of information showing us how this is really important to us leading stress-free or low stress lives. And then, of course, our mind. Our mind is in a two-way relationship with our body, right? So what we think can impact our body, and what we do with our body impacts our mind. So, yoga therapy teaches us about self-study and being aware of our thoughts and working in this ethical framework as well. So, non-harming is probably one of the most famous ethical pieces of yoga. And so that really does help us in terms of reducing our stress, among other things. And then yoga therapists will also look at the body from another point of view that other traditional medicines might look at it in terms of your energy body. Prana is what we call energy, the vital energy. And we'll look at where, through assessment, we'll look at where the body may have needs to have more energy or where it might be excessive in some ways. So we kind of try to find balance in our energy as well. And of course, stress, directly approaching stress too is important. So, of course, things will constantly be out there to stress us, but yoga teaches us to look at how we approach our stress. So, we look at that through our thought patterns and how they can kind of send us down the same sort of reactionary path. And then we look at ways that we can interrupt those thought patterns and release their grip on us so that our stress tolerance is greater. Yoga therapy also helps us have self-confidence. So when we take initiative over our own health and we see the results through our own actions, it helps us have more confidence that what we will do will have an impact on us. And that way we can work with our medical professionals as well in a way that allows us to feel more confident and more grounded in knowing what's right for ourselves. Self-reliance, another part of that is just knowing that we have our own volition, and when we do something with intention, it helps us to have greater impact. So our intention to do one small thing a day can have such great impact when we add it all up. Elimination of waste is another way that yoga therapy works on our body, mind, spiritual system. It allows us to release undigested waste. For instance, on a cellular level, we release carbon dioxide when we do postures, but we also allow emotions and thought patterns that we've held on to kind of be let go through our conscious awareness. Yoga therapy, lastly, has the effect of putting responsibility back into our own hands. We work with medical professionals, perhaps, too, but you will be an adjunct to your regular medical health care. But basically, when you're working with a yoga therapist, it's all up to you what you would like to spend your time on, how you would like to get something out of it through your embodied knowledge. That means what you put in is really what you can get out of it through your continued practice. And then lastly, just to sum everything up, yoga therapy helps with your health, happiness, and beyond. A therapist will optimize the process of healing that's within your own hands. So you may really experience a deep transformation through this process. And you may realize things about yourself which you never realized, opening your eyes to a whole new way of being, to a whole new sense of happiness and health and beyond. Thank you so much for listening today. Take care.